What's up, everyone? This is DYANAROZAY. Welcome to my channel. You saw the thumbnail, so you know why you're here. We are doing a review for Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 6B, Episode 19, and it was called Town Hall Downfall, okay? So we are going to get into it. First, though, I am going to bring up my co-host. Y'all know her name is Clone, my sister. She's been on a few times before. It has gone great, so I have brought her back. What is up, Miss Clone?
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, girl. Okay, so we are going to get crack-a-lackin'. Let's see. First off, I want to ask you, what do you rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10?
7.5 for me.
7.5. Okay,
Hmm.
that's not bad. Not bad at all. I give it a 8 or an 8 and a quarter. An 8 and a quarter even. There was one scene in particular that kind of ruled this episode.
Hmm.
Else was kind of just setting us up for the next. So
Hmm.
we'll get into it and see if we can break this all down in a way that makes good sense. Okay, starting with Melody and Marsau, we are picking up exactly where we left off. Melody and Marsau have had a sit down. They are sparring. Okay, last episode was called Round 5 because Melody and Marsau had gone at each other 5 times total. And I also want to say this because this is really important. Melody and Martell have been the only two people on the show who have been able to successfully verbal spar with Marsau, period. Okay. Everybody else, Tisha, Wanda, his brother Maurice, Tiffany, Destiny, whomever, they could not come back at Marsau the way he would go at them. Melody and Martell have been the only ones. And in this scene, Melody is giving it better than how she's getting it. Okay. Marceau is trying to break her down. You have a business that is basically you're only making money because you are on this platform, the platform she created, by the way. Okay, this is her platform, so she should be able to do this. But he's saying it like, I already know. Well, listen, this may be true for you. Perhaps nobody will buy that damn champagne or whatever it is in a bottle, if it wasn't for Love and Marriage Huntsville and people seeing you. I don't think anybody would go to that hole in the wall, cigar bar. Everybody say it's about, yay big. So everybody, probably no one would go if it wasn't for you being on this platform. But don't come at me and say what my businesses will be, right? Melody is,
Hmm.
oh, how dare you? Yeah, dirty dog bastard. Like she's really telling him, get your shit together, Marcel. Stop coming at me like that. I know you are trying to throw jabs. You have been forever. And she said, and you also know that products isn't the only business that I do. I still do property preservation, the very job I got your ass in. Okay. And he goes, oh, I had no idea. Oh, I didn't know that. And she was like, uh-huh, you did know it because you've been making comments online about it. And he goes, Melody, when was that? Like 2019. And she's like, it was 2020. Okay, sir. Not to mention 2019, 2020 doesn't matter. The fact is that you knew it. Okay. And I can have as many businesses as I want. I am successful at them. Okay. You're the one who had the problem. But then he tries to get slickety slick at the mouth and says to her, well, you filed bankruptcy. And she smiles, pause, like, just let this man say what he wants to say. Just let him get it out because at this point, Marceau truly is. And the way he said, you throw things at the wall, you throw businesses at the wall to see what sticks. He says things to see what sticks. He likes to break people down in the mind. Okay. He wants to get in your head and make you get all tongue tied and frustrated and angry. And Mel did not do that with him at all. She let him say what he was saying, and she went, no, I didn't file bankruptcy for that reason. That business was successful. My ex filed bankruptcy. And so that it wouldn't fall on me, I had to file too. You, on the other hand, never got a divorce. Your bankruptcy was purely financial. So now he has to shut his mouth. Then she
Hmm.
reminds him, not to mention the fact you got a $50 million lawsuit. looming over your damn head. Again, he
Mhm.
shut his mouth. Um, and everything that he was saying to her, like, oh, well, I just didn't know, Mel. I just didn't know. Okay, you're right. I had no idea. Now, I'm just going to say the product business isn't something I respect, but I do respect the property preservation business. That's something I like. That's something that I thought probably the community would like to know. However, selling T-shirts and other things, that's just not something that's community that's not something you can teach the community. And then he says some awful stuff about her being um promoting her stuff on social media, like it's not a legitimate platform, when we all know there is not a business anywhere that doesn't use social media for,
Right.
we all know that. And
Right.
it took us back to season 1 because Marsau, Tisha, Kimmy, Maurice, they would all tease Melody. They teased her well before the show started, but when they came on, that was one of the things that they would try to get her with. Like, oh God, we call her the social media queen or post queen. She's so bougie. They were making up all these things. And now all of these people are doing exactly what Melody did. They're all
Mhm.
trying to catch up with her and be in her spot,
Agreed.
and they can't. And he's still trying to, again, get in her head and do to her what they thought they were doing to her back in season 1. Like, let me see if I can break her down and make her feel bad. And she let him know, you can't. And not only can't you make me feel bad about being me, making my money and doing what I do successfully, you owe me an apology. And Marsau's Libra man ass, who doesn't like to apologize, who likes to tell people, I told you so. Okay. That's what literally makes his heart warm, to watch someone
Mhm.
call and say, I told you so. He has to apologize. And that never happens. He doesn't even apologize to Tisha, okay? If he does, it's barely, okay? But he will beg. Y'all remember, was it like 2 episodes ago where he said, Tisha, all you have to do is apologize. Like, he will beg for an apology, and she barely could get it out. Okay, sorry. No, apologize, be sincere about it, and stop doing the wrong thing. But he literally tries to make it seem like Nell brought you back some stuff and made it seem like it was about you, but it wasn't. I was just
Mhm.
an opinion. That's all, Mel. And that's when you hear me giving an opinion, I should be able to do that. And she was like, fine, do it. And I can't police everything that comes out of your mouth, but know that when you give your opinion, expect an opinion to come behind it. Okay? One
Right.
I'm not gonna like. And I was like, you go, girl. Okay? You go.
Right.
It was amazing. But anywho, what do you think about this scene? Is there anything that you want to add to this?
I mean, I think you hit most of everything. The only thing that I would really say is just kind of hitting back on the social media portion. I mean, if he didn't have any, if they didn't have any kind of focus on social media and how to boost sales through marketing, and how to use your social media platform at that expo, then I would just say they totally missed the mark.
They missed the mark.
They missed the mark because I mean, and this is just dating back to, I want to say 2020 or 2021.
Hmm.
Fortune magazine actually came out and said that 97% of entrepreneurs use a social media platform to help with marketing, boosting sales, getting, word of mouth,
Hmm.
promoting their product, doing the whole gamut. So I'm not quite sure why that wouldn't be at least a portion of the focus,
Hmm.
no matter what type of business you're in. But yeah, I would definitely say that, yeah, you're looking like you're in the Stone Ages if you're not touching base on that.
And he is in the Stone Ages. But that is what makes it so great, because Marsau, at the end of the day, is the resident a-hole of this show. Like, he starts off season 1, first episode, letting us know that he is an a-hole and that everybody hates him for it. His
Mm,
mother-in-law gets in her confessional or says, I don't like Marsau. Okay, I don't like him. I don't like Tisha with him, but ain't nothing I could do about it. But he and I don't get along and we don't like each other. And she says that to this very day, even though she
mm,
windmill from Marsau every once in a while, she still says she doesn't like him. Melody and Martell used to say Marsau is an a-hole, but again, those two would be able to verbal spar with him and win the argument. Brother-in-law, he's a misogynist. Kimmy, I don't know how you deal with it. It's everybody knows it, and Marsau has been true to himself on this show as being the resident a-hole. Okay, that's just who he is. But um, so when I pay attention to his scenes now, I have to say, is this something that he's doing because he is being this caveman a-hole? Because we all know that he promotes, what do you call it? That wine in a bottle mess. We know he promotes it, and we even know he's used people to help him promote it. So he's a liar. On top of everything else, he's a liar. Okay. Uh,
Yeah, I agree.
but let's go to the next scene, which is Tiffany and Louis. Now, this was a short and sweet scene. I shouldn't say sweet because it really wasn't. Now, speaking of a-holes, Louis, okay? Um, this made me a little uncomfortable.
Me
And
too.
the reason why is Louis and Tiffany have been married for a while. They're on their second marriage. This together, their second marriage. And one of the things they did in when they first arrived on the show was say, we're the marriage experts, right? I don't know if that's a game they still want to play, but we're the marriage experts. We're in our second go round. We know what it takes to make this one work, kind of thing. And so, and then when people see Louis, for me at least, when I saw Louis, I was like, well, at least he looks like a person who knows how to weed through some of the minutia. Tiffany, Tiffany gives me wife vibes, but she's, can also be just a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say manipulative, but really manipulative. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Hmm.
get my way. I'm going to use my feminine whatever to get my way. A lot of women do it. It's not a big deal. I'm not trying to paint her in a bad light. She wanted this baby. We all know. I want the baby. I have a son that's 14, 15, 16, whatever his age was at the time. She had been working on Louis to get this baby, and she got the baby.
Hmm.
Now, the thing is, for me, Louis said, yes, I want a baby too. Fine, let's do the baby thing. Because at the end of the day, you're still that baby's daddy. You are still responsible for that baby in the same way Tiffany is. If anything happened to to Tiffany, God forbid, and she wasn't able to mother, you're gonna have to kick in, Louis. You're gonna have to do something, right?
Hmm. Right, immediately.
But the way he made her stand alone in this scene, I thought, "Ooh, Louis, that was ugly to me. I didn't like any of it." Tiffany point blank said, "I am suffering from postpartum depression. I
Yeah,
sit in chairs and cry for hours.
right.
Feel like I've accomplished anything in my day. I can go to the grocery store and have a checklist of things, and I am so drained with what is going on because, yes, I did ask for this baby, and I understand. I'm going to put it out there to you and the world. I know postpartum exists and that, it was a possibility, but I never thought I could have it. I never thought I'd get it. I'd be a person to have it." And he never addressed the postpartum.
Mm-mm.
He never
Nope.
said anything. He never said, "Okay, how serious is this for you? Okay, you're crying in a corner, but are you having other thoughts? Are you safe? Do you feel like you're safe? Is my baby safe?" Like there's certain things
Right.
followed up with there that he didn't do because
Nope. Never talked about getting her help. Nothing.
nope, it was like he was in his own head, just like, I can't wait for you to shut up so I can say X, Y, and Z. Okay,
Right.
sitting there like a stump on the log, Tiffany. It doesn't matter. She's asking you for help. She's saying it in a polite way, but she's asking you for help. And you're like, well, Tiffany, listen, it doesn't matter what we do now. You know that this was going to be hard. There's no preparation for the baby. Okay, fine. Having a baby is hard. Doesn't matter when you have it. Doesn't matter how many kids you had before. Her point is she feels alone right now. She feels, to me, it sounded like she was saying, I am in a very dark and depressed place. I'm crying.
Mhm.
This was a continued conversation from the one she had when she was with Stormy. Okay. And Stormy was like, well, what can you do? It's okay. You're not a failure. It's okay to cry. It's okay to this. Yeah, she may be doing all those things, but now she's saying to her husband, I know I'm not in the place I should be. And he's saying to her, I'm not going to stop working, which, whew, it just, the scene just felt bad. It felt bad. And I saw Louis in a different way. And I get it. They're both human. I get that they're both going to do things. I don't feel that Tiffany should feel like she's by herself because she had very much had a man who said it's okay. It's not like an oil painting, like, oh, I really want to buy this oil painting for $5,000. And then when you get it to the house, there's nothing about it you like. And
Right.
you're like, listen, I said you can get it, but the oil painting is shitty. Now we're going to, put it in the basement and, see, maybe somebody else will buy it from us. You have a whole baby, and that baby is going to grow and grow and grow until it becomes a grown man. There's no giving it back to anybody. This is both of your problems now. And I didn't get that from Louis. It felt like he was saying, this is your problem.
Hmm. You asked for it. You got it. Now work through it.
Now work through it. And
Hmm.
I don't care who you are in life. If you are married, that's marriage. Marriage is someone saying to you, your partner saying to you, this is what I want to do. And you may not be gun-ho about doing it. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you agree to it, you're both doing it.
Right.
That's it. That's all.
Right.
That's all. So that is how that's what I remember from that scene. I don't remember too much else. Other than at the very end of it, she was like, this is what I need more of. And he was like, is it that you don't get it? Or you're saying you need more of it? She was like, I don't
Yeah.
think she spoke at that point. She was just like sitting there quiet. Because at this point, she's staring at him like, I don't know if she had tears in her eyes or if she was giving him a, motherfucker, I will, what are you doing right now? And then finally he
Right.
begrudgingly says, okay, okay. I was like, Louis, clean that up, sir. Clean it up. I didn't
Yeah.
like
I didn't either.
it. Okay.
Yeah. He turned it more on himself than anything. Oh,
He
I'm
did.
already giving you all of these things. What do you want from me?
Facts. I agree. So we know that it looks like there's going to be some more tense scenes moving forward, but postpartum depression is nothing to play with. I think that people are, I had postpartum depression. It varies from person to person. If you are able to recognize that you're in a place that you weren't before and you aren't performing mentally, emotionally, spiritually in ways that you were doing before, I think people should take it serious. That's my feelings.
They definitely should take it serious. My goodness. Do you know
Mm,
what that could lead to?
mm-hmm. Shall do I? Okay. We see all these people in the news on social media, things happening to people. And I feel like that's kind of what she was saying. But anywho, let's talk about the next scene, child. Whew, child, this was a doozy of a scene. Doozy of a scene. This is the town hall meeting. This is the after meeting to discuss things that, went wrong in the expo, where they could do better. And they have brought in everybody who, was essentially a part of it or a part of the core six. Now, I shouldn't even say essentially a part of it because the one person that wasn't a part of it that is sitting at this table is who?
Tiffany?
Tiffany. And who didn't get invited that was also supposed to be invited?
Would that be the Fletchers?
The Fletchers, yes. So I wanted to point that out because Kimmy, um, I've said this before, Kimmy plays nice nasty with the new people, and I feel like she played nice nasty with Neil. But Tiffany is sitting at this table, and Tiffany was not a part of any of that core six meeting. She didn't have a place on the stage, none of that. But she got a seat at this table, and Nell Fletcher should have also had a seat at this table if that was the case. And Kimmy purposely left her out. But we'll talk about that in, I think, the next scene. So let's discuss this scene. Okay. Whew. Starts with, I think, Maurice gets there first. They kind of all trickle in at different times. And I bring up Maurice and Kimmy because they were the one who actually facilitated the meeting. They asked for all of these people to show up and to give Marsau and Tisha constructive criticism. That was the point. Give them some ideas, give them some constructive criticism. But I don't understand the pretense for which she brought them here because there is a part in this scene with Courtney, Stormy, and Tiffany, where they said, "Oh, is this going to be Marsau and Tisha's Black Expo next year, or are we all doing it collectively as a group?" And Marsau and Tisha pipes in and said, I think it was Marsau, he was like, "This is our expo. Like, you guys don't ever get to do the expo again. This will always be our expo." And they were like stunned, like, "Oh, this is not what we thought this was," because we wouldn't have been able, we wouldn't have given y'all any ideas. You know what I'm saying? If we knew it was just for you.
Right. Right.
This was something we were all participating in. But Maurice arrives first, and then everyone else come trickling in. I think it was Martell next. Then I believe Tisha and Marsau. Then Tiffany. Then Stormy and Courtney. Right? Melody
Mm-hmm.
last to arrive, but they're all coming in, saying their hellos. Doing a little small talk. But when Stormy and Courtney come into the room, Stormy did exactly what she did to Melody, exactly what she did to Tisha. She's snubbing people.
Mm-hmm.
Wants them to know that I'm snubbing you. I'm going to say hello to you or attempt to greet you, and I want you to know that I'm not going to give you any energy, and I'm going to walk away. So she comes in, she makes it a point of hugging Maurice, she makes it a point of hugging Tisha. And then she even kind of beelines it for Marcel, like, "Oh, hey, Mark." But before she, you know, hugs him, she
Mm-hmm.
around, start playing in her purse and go have a seat in her chair.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it was Kimmy who came in after everybody sitting at the table. Kimmy was the second to last, and then Melody's the last to come in. So Kimmy isn't there yet. She goes and sits at the table. And then I believe Kimmy is walking in when they're having a little bit of a heated discussion about Melody of all things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct? Okay. I want to make sure I get this correct.
You're
So
correct.
Melody still isn't there. They're sitting down, they're doing light chatter, and Marceau says something to the extent of, "I had a meeting with Melody yesterday where I let her know that I didn't respect her being in the product business or selling certain things." And Tisha's sitting there kind of with a light grin on her face. You can tell her and Marceau talked about it, right? And she's feeling,
Mm-hmm.
my man, put that bitch in her place, whatever she's thinking in the moment.
Right.
Um, Kimmy, who's supposed to be facilitating, she says, "Marceau, that's the wrong thing to do. You can't tell people you don't respect the business that they do." And Martell pipes in after that with, I'm sorry, right? I'm sorry. Uh, I think Marceau said something to the extent of, "Melody wouldn't have been successful if it wasn't for this platform." And he says, "I'm sorry, wait a minute. Are you saying that anybody who did business after the show," because they even put the Love and Marriage Huntsville logo in the middle of the scene to say, "I don't want y'all to think this has anything to do with the Black Expo. This has to do with the show." He's basically saying her success stems from the show when everybody's successful because of the show to some degree, right?
Correct.
Because of the show, you all get to do some extra things that you wouldn't have
Mm-hmm.
otherwise. And you are riding the coattails of Melody and Martell in this situation. So you're all having a seat at their table, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so he fixed his mouth to say that ignorant shit. And Martell chimes in and says, "Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, sir. What did you just say?" And he's taking up for Melody at this point. And we are watching this like, okay. Because just last season, they didn't want to talk to each other. Like he was like, "I don't want to talk to Melody. I'm in a bad space." So now you're seeing him in a new place. I think that Martell is in his depression phase of grieving for his divorce. I think there's 5 stages. You go through the anger
Yes.
and denial because you don't want
Right.
to be divorced, and then you go through that bargaining stage because
Mm-hmm.
you want your marriage back, so you start doing things that can feel like revenge because you're
Mm-hmm.
bargain them saying life will be worse if you don't get back with me. And now he's
Mm-hmm.
in the depression stage because now he can kind of see what he's lost. And he's speaking things that's just pouring out of his mouth in ways that he couldn't do when they were actually together, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
When she was asking you to, protect her, protector, well, I think she said provider, protector, professor. When she was asking you to be a protector and a provider, you weren't even able to do those things because you was such a control freak.
Mhm.
You had her under your thumb and making her fear what life would be without you. You would keep,
Right.
and now you don't have her, and now you're saying things that you didn't even know your mind could do because he chimed into that conversation like it was the most natural thing in the world for him to do and say. Just boom.
Yeah.
It was crazy. But he says, that's not true. And he starts saying, Melody is an excellent public speaker. Melody is an excellent this. This is the thing. This is what she does. You, on the other hand, basically you should learn from her. And also, like, she would have been successful doing these things even without this platform because that's who she's always been. And how unfair is it for you to say that her business isn't a real business? When I was mowing the lawn and making $100,000 a year, I
Right.
thought making 100,000 was big money. Now that I've tasted money that was, much bigger than that, I understand what the dream is and I can go after other things. But he's sitting there and then Marceau finally says, well, I apologize to her, right?
Mhm.
I apologize to her. And I think that's when Melody may have walked into the room because the room was
Correct.
chaotic, right?
Well, though they were all rowdy. They were pretty rowdy, yeah, but she walked in at that time, yep.
Okay, so the room is chaotic. Melody is walking in when they're all kind of saying, this is not helpful, Marceau, for you to be saying things like this. We're the core six, we're the group. We should be, trying to figure out how to be better to each other and with each other so that we can work together. And this is the type of shit that starts all the problems. But Melody walks in and she's like, hello, everybody. And they see her, but they're still loud. Some people may say hi. And then other people are just like still, "Rrrt, rrrt, 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 rrrt." And then Marie says, Melody, Marceau was telling us that you guys had a meeting yesterday, and he said that he apologized for some things that he said wrong. Did he apologize? And now everybody stops because they want to know, hell, did he apologize? We'd like to hear from you because, you know, Marceau is Marceau, right?
Right.
Did I talk about Stormy not saying hello?
You didn't.
I didn't.
No, you did. You mentioned it. You mentioned that she did the same thing that she
Okay.
did to Tisha and to Melody. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure I said that. Okay. Thank you. So now everybody's chimed in because they are tuned into Melody because they want to hear her answer. And then Melody becomes the teacher because
Mhm.
Melody has this, what is it? It's like what is it? What am I
Like
looking
a
for? The word.
like a presence, like a she commands a room.
She can command a room, correct. She
Mhm.
can command a room, and she does it naturally. It's just a part of who she is when she's as a speaker, right? And
Mhm.
I call it teacher mode because I've seen her do it a couple of times. We know that she was a teacher for, the teenager group of kids where you have to, get their attention and bring them into your world, right? I don't
Mhm.
your world. I got to get you to hear me. So she came in, said hello. She only had maybe two, three people respond. Now you're asking her a question. So the first thing she does is go, oh, hey, hi, y'all. Okay, now she's bringing you back into, okay, you're going to ask me a question. I'm going to get a hi from all y'all. And now they get the giggles like, okay, yeah, we did, not say hi to you. They get the giggles and we get a couple of people like, hi, Mill. And that immediately puts Tisha in a bad way. Her face is like, oh, we're doing this because she does not like when Mel takes over the room. Now, this is
Mhm.
something that just comes naturally to Mel, that is just a part of her personality. But Tisha doesn't like that person at all.
Mhm.
She wants to be on stage. She's the one, this is my meeting. This is my meeting. And now you're taking it over with your, hi, how are you? She doesn't like that. So now Tisha's in a bad place. And Melody's like, now what were y'all saying now? Now, this is important too, because not only does she diss Tisha, and she isn't really dissing Tisha. She isn't. Let me take that back. It's not a diss to Tisha. Melody is saying what comes naturally for her. Tisha's in a bad space because Tisha's a jealous spirit. Okay. But there's another spirit in the room that I was not expecting, and that spirit is Stormy. Now, I don't know if it was jealousy or anger or what, but there's something going on here. And Melody recognizes it. Okay. But once she tries to answer the question, she's like, yeah, this is what happened, you know, and she gives Marceau a compliment because I know that you two jealous assholes really can't hear anything unless I'm blowing a little smoke up there. So I told you yesterday, congratulations, you did a great job, right, Marceau? And I told you the other day when we had lunch, Tisha, great job, amazing this, that, and the other, right? But, you know, this is the conversation that we had, and Marceau did apologize to me. And then she makes Marceau confirm that he apologized.
What
And
was
that's when Tisha, you can visibly see the smoke coming out of her ears.
that was embarrassing actually, but I thought it was funny.
Why do you think it was embarrassing? Tell me. Oh,
I thought it was I
yeah.
thought it was embarrassing for Marceau
Okay.
because he was, he was being a child and doodling in his little scribble book there. Or let's just say that he was writing notes, but I'm going to say he was doodling. He was doodling. Tisha was texting at the time, and Melody's talking, and she can see that they're pretending like they don't hear her, but we all know that they do. And then she stops to confirm and was like, "Isn't that right, Marceau?"
Isn't
But the
that
way that she says it, it was like a nice scold, right? Like,
yes?
I'm scolding you, right? I'm pulling up my ruler and I'm going to smack you on the knuckles.
I'm talking about you. I gave you some comments.
Right.
You asked me some questions, and now I'm talking to you, and you're both
Right.
ignorant in ignoring me. But she
Mhm.
didn't answer her. And this is significant because Stormy, he is ignoring purposely.
Mhm.
Because Stormy starts this meeting off, Marceau attempted to hug her and go over, but Stormy walks away from him and she wants him to know, I'm ignoring you. I'm snubbing you. Then she's
Mhm.
at the table, and Marceau says in his confessional, listen, she wants to drive this petty train into this room, and she has no idea who she's fooling with because I am the king and the queen.
Mhm.
I will literally be her worst nightmare, and she will leave here feeling horrible. And I will leave here feeling like I am on top of the world.
Yep.
Like, damn. And in this scene, Mar-
Mission accomplished.
mission accomplished. In this,
Mhm.
Marceau ignores the hell out of Stormy, and he literally turns her into Wanda. He turns her into Wanda. And I said in the first scene, you guys, I said Melody and Martell have been the only sparring partners that could go at Marceau verbally and win. For
Mhm.
whatever reason, Stormy thought she would be that person and she couldn't do it. And it was embarrassing as hell because out of everybody sitting at this table, Stormy has sat in rooms with Fortune 500 companies where she's had to do business. And she knows damn well that you're not going to like everybody in the room when you're doing business. She also knows anytime you do business, there is a winner and there is a loser when you have some these meetings. The majority of the time. Not everybody is going to leave there feeling like they got exactly what they wanted.
Mhm.
Because she has that expertise, which I know she does, because I've seen some of the things that she's done and people that she's been in rooms with, and she's had like motivational speeches and things like that with. I'm like, well, Stormy knows how this works, and she had an opportunity to show herself as the big dog at this table, and she let Marceau treat her like Wanda. So now Stormy has to go even lower by saying, because she recognized that she's being ignored, I'm dealing with a bitch. But she says it loud enough for him to hear her. And he goes,
Mhm.
oh, I'm a bitch now. That's right. I'm a bitch. I'm going to be a big bitch if that's what you want me to be. And nothing's getting accomplished here.
Mm-mm.
Nothing. And it makes her, again, looks even smaller. You have become Wanda. And he knows how to deal with Wanda. Wanda leaves all the time with her tail between her legs, trying to figure out what just happened. But Stormy is now at this table wondering what the hell is happening. And at one point, she's trying to get Courtney to be more involved. And he says something to the extent of, I'm not doing that shit, or I'm not getting into that shit, or something like that. And I was like, ooh, Courtney's not, like, Courtney doesn't even care. Like, what is happening here? This is just a bad scene. But they go into another part of the meeting where they're talking about things that could happen differently or better for the next expo. And Stormy said, I wish there was more motivational speaking because when I started, it was just me. And before she can even finish her sentence, Marsau cuts her off and said, we're not doing motivational speaking. That's not the tools that these people can use. They need
Mhm.
tangibles. They need to know that they should be doing XYZ, contacting XYZ. And Melody takes over the conversation. Even though she likes Stormy's idea, she takes over the conversation and say, listen, we didn't have enough little basically breakout groups. Tiffany helps her define
Mhm.
what that is, but she's like, I agree. We should have had more things for artists, more things for, because we don't know if everybody wanted to discuss real estate. That's what y'all know.
Right. We don't even know who showed up.
Right. We don't even know who showed up. We didn't get any feedback that would
Mhm.
allow us to have a better meeting for next year. So next year we are really having this expo for the first time so that we can actually do certain things.
Right.
Right. And
Right.
like absolutely her and Tiffany, Melody is in her again in teacher mode. They're having their conversation. And now you have Martell sitting there with his head in his hand looking at his ex-wife being the astute student, right?
Mhm.
You got Tiffany being like, "Oh, I want extra credit."
Mhm. Teacher's
How-
pet.
Yep, the teacher's pet. How about we do this, this, and this? We got Courtney and Stormy being the rowdy. uh,
Mhm. Rebel rousers. Yep.
yeah, we're the disruptive students.
Mhm.
I don't even know what Marisa and Kimmy would be at this point.
Instigator, I would say, for Maurice, and
Okay,
then Kimmy was more of the can't we all just get along?
okay.
Kumbaya.
He's an instigator because he's like, why are you calling him a bitch?
Right.
Why you're calling him a bitch? You're right. That's so they're the instigator. And then Tisha and Marsau are just the we don't
Marceau's the bully.
yeah, we don't care. Send me to the principal office students, right?
Right. Yeah.
He is
Well, Marceau's more of the agitator. Tisha was more quiet. She was more with her actions.
she was
You
attitude.
could, yeah, she had attitude more towards Mel than anybody.
Oh,
Um,
okay. That
because
was
at one point, Courtney kind of gives her a little bit of a compliment, doesn't he? When he
yes.
tells Marceau, well, he's trying to dog Marceau,
He's
but
trying to
in
dog
doing
Marcel.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, in doing so, he gives her a compliment by saying, you know what, your wife would have done this a little bit more organized, so maybe you should just turn this over to her.
I
And then
know
she
you
starts
like a better
smiling.
organizer. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. You're right. You're right. So you can see this all going down and Melody without even trying, because this is just, again, a natural talent for her. She's
Mm-hmm.
pulling people in the direction she wants them to go. And it's Kimmy's meeting. She's supposed to be facilitating it. And all she's saying is stuff like, that's not helpful. I was like, oh, this is great. This is great. This is literally first season comeback group meeting. They're talking and this is how the things would go, right? So after it's all said and done, Melody says, I agree with Tiffany, and basically saying, using Tiffany, using Stormy, and saying, this is exactly what we should be doing. We should have these breakout meetings. We need at the end of the, expo for people who want to utilize the information to come and get lawyers from us, CPAs from
Mm-hmm.
whatever these things are. And then at the end, we can, we can big up them like, yeah, yeah, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Stormy gets a look over his heart because, first off, after she says all that, Marcel goes, yeah, I love that idea. Completely slapping Stormy's motivational thing in the face. And Stormy knows it. And she's like, like she's pissed. She's talking her talk over there with Courtney.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, you think that you should ask the question I asked him so that he can answer it? And Marcel says, maybe, what did he say? I'd like
I
to,
think He said, I think Courtney's wife has
I think
something she might want to say. Yeah.
I think Courtney's wife has a question. And when he says it, Melody leans back and starts giggling because she knows who this person she knows who this person is. She knows who Marsau is. She's laughing her ass off because she knows that Stormy is mad, that Marsau is getting back at Stormy. She doesn't know why. She says in confessional, listen, there's the tension is thicker than a snicker between Marsau and Stormy and Courtney. And I don't know what's going on, but the shit is funny. And all I want to do is catch my flight. That is how she is. But it is crazy that Stormy has decided to wage a war that she can't actually win with Marsau. And she should know better. If she would have just used her business sense and skill, she would have won. Okay,
Right.
she won.
It's a war that she can win, but she just didn't go about it the right way.
Go about it the right way. Exactly. I was literally like, Stormy, all you had to do is just take over the meeting with what you actually know because he knows nothing.
Now,
And you
clearly, you're the smart one, right? Let's.
right. You would have won that meeting. But that's what he says. She says, Melody ends up getting up and saying, this is what we need to do better for next year. Plan X, Y, and Z. Let's get the planning right. Tisha said, wait a minute, we ain't here to talk about the planning. Okay. Are you saying that this meeting wasn't organized? Because we're not here to talk about that. And Melody said, yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. She was like, Melody said, listen, you're not going to stop me from saying what we're going to talk about. That is 100% a part of it because the planning part is what gets us to the finished product. And that's what,
Right.
and we had already had this conversation, girl. You wouldn't have been collecting $100 from people on the day of without any notification if you had planned this right. So let's not go there, Tisha. And don't get
Mm-hmm.
me saying what I want to say. And I was like, well, damn. And the whole time, Melody is telling Tisha where she can stick it. Marsau is sitting there drawing stick figures, never look
Mm-hmm.
doesn't help Tisha at all in this conversation because you were the one who brought that on yourself, child. And
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting there like, Lord have mercy. This is great. This is great. I actually enjoyed it, even though I really felt like Stormy looked like a damn fool in this one. Stormy lost.
Yeah. I I was pretty disappointed in the whole Stormy thing too. I mean, like you said, Stormy has sat in rooms with big box Fortune 500, big box store Fortune 500 companies.
Mhm.
You've got to do a lot of negotiating, and you have got to be on your best behavior to be in those meetings. What the hell showed up here?
What showed up here, and it can't be. I think she said something in her confessional like, um, I left the meeting because I know who Courtney is, and I didn't want Courtney to whoop Marceau's ass. Okay. Um, Stormy, don't come back into any meeting with that story ever, 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 ever again. Again, you're gonna have some meetings that you don't like, and it can't always be the whoop the ass thing. Now, yeah, we all as fans watching the show said Marceau needs his ass beat, but Stormy lost. She lost.
Right.
You lost. So when you left because you lost. And here's the other thing that was like a real Marceau really got at both of them at this point. Marceau says to Courtney, Tisha and I don't have a gender-based business.
Just hilarious.
When Tisha and Marceau's entire marriage
Relationship.
is based
Exactly.
on gender. Tisha, I don't do this. I don't wash dishes. I don't cook. I don't watch kids.
Right.
I don't do anything that a wife is supposed to do. That's
Right.
That is the traditional gender role. That is what the role I want you to play. That man fixed his mouth to say that to Courtney. So
Mhm.
Courtney punked him and gave his waitress $100 tip for a cup of water. He thought about all the things he wanted to say. He dreamed about it. And when the moment brought itself to fruition, he let him have it. And then to close the deal, he said, I think they said they didn't want to be a part of this meeting. They were like, we don't
Mhm.
want to be a part of this meeting. Maurice asked why. And Marceau said, because we don't need you. We don't need you here. Okay?
Mhm.
Bills can go. Stormy said, or it's not Stormy. I think Stormy was like, if he says that shit one more time, because he knows that Courtney's last name is Beasley and her last name is Steele. So Courtney, instead of just saying, "Man, you know our last names. Don't do that." And now, if you wanted to threaten him, that'd be the time. Don't. If I have, you want me to read
Right.
till you get it right. That's when you threaten. But Courtney, in the most pleasant way, said, "You know, she's still Beasley, right?" And Marsau didn't say, "Oh, I'm sorry." He said, "No, I didn't know that."
Right.
That was
It's
it.
it. Yeah.
I was so embarrassed.
Sorry.
I was like,
First
"That's
and foremost, Marceau plays the 5-year-old very well.
oh,
Very well. He's very good at it.
not
And
even."
I don't
He's the teenage a-hole.
you're giving him the teenager? Oh my gosh.
Giving him teenager because he will wear you down. He
Oh,
will.
he's annoying.
You may be annoyed by him, but at the end of the day, what he did to Stormy and Courtney was masterful. It was thought. It was thought out. Now, you might get mad at Marceau, but for him to have had Stormy and her husband call him a bitch, right? And for him to say,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I'm going to punk you. I'm not going to let you speak at my table. I'm going to point blank tell you you're not needed here. And then I'm going to say you're the one in the gender based business. And I'm going to call your husband by your last name. I'm going to make sure that you walk out this door completely mind effed. I want you to feel this for weeks. Okay? Because you're going to be pissed to the point of where you're thinking about it all the time because
Mhm.
you do want to
Right.
fight.
Right. You thought you were mad at me before.
You thought,
I'm gonna
yes,
give you something to be really mad about.
and
Yeah.
he says it in confessional.
Mhm.
The loser, I won. I
Mhm.
know what happened in that meeting, and so do you, and so does everybody. And then Melody laughing on the side, like, oh, I know what this is. I know what this Marceau is. And again, for no one at that table, no one at all, including his wife, to be able to hold or stand toe to toe with him, except for Melody and Martell. Melody being the one to say, "Ain't that right, Marceau? Didn't you apologize?" Tisha can't even get Marceau to admit things, and Tisha can't get him to apologize. All of it was, "I'm the winner, you're the loser." So,
Yeah, but all of the women in this room
mhm,
are way more successful than the men in the room.
facts.
I mean,
100%.
you could even say that Courtney and Stormy are in a more of a partnership, but really, I mean, clearly it was her brainchild that started that business.
Right. It was her brainchild, and it was her husband who was executing certain things for her physically. But
Right.
correct. And that is why I thought this scene was a failure for her, because everything that I've heard her say about connecting to people, having conversations, figuring things out, I was like, "Oh, Stormy should be able to come in here and give us just a little pinch of what it looks like for her to move pieces around on a table, on a chessboard, because at the end of the day, the more money that's at the table, the worse the meeting is going to be, period.
Mhm.
The more money or power is at the table, someone is going to walk out of that room and cry. And she
Right.
was the one who walked out of the room and cried, okay? Even if tears didn't roll out of her eyes, she knew she lost, and that's why she left. And I was like, "Oh, I'm so sad for her. I never
Mhm.
want to see her do this again." There's no way you should ever lose to Marceau, Stormy. There's no way you should ever lose to Marceau. Period.
Right.
If Courtney was there to whoop him, then he should have stood up and whooped him. Okay? Don't threat of, because Courtney's presence did nothing. He was still the same guy. You remember when Martell and at Destiny's thing, whatever her relaunch, there's a scene where Marceau and Maurice are going after Martell. They're
Mhm.
break him down. "Martell, you shouldn't have said this and you shouldn't have
Yep.
done." And Martell becomes what we see in Melody, where he stops and said, "Wait a minute. No, this is what you did." And he brings it back to them in a way where they got it. And I think Marcel was like, "But she wasn't talking about the kid." He said, "If we said that about MJ," he goes, "You're right. You're right." Like, with everything that was going on and him clearly being, we want you to be in a place where you feel attacked because everybody's coming after you. We're all coming after you. He was able to slow down and not physically fight him, but literally verbally say, "You mother effer." And then when
Mhm.
he walked away, because I know what you guys are doing, I'm going to walk away. Maurice putting his hand on him and sucker punching him is how that fight started.
Mm.
But only Melody and Martell have been able to verbally go after them, and they were the ones who were frustrated and made it a fight. Just by the way, okay. And I don't even
Right.
take up for Martell because I know that he has done some things. However, I also know because he proved it in that space that he can be smarter and do things in a smarter way. Stormy and Courtney, however, they were like entry level freshmen at this table when they shouldn't have been, period. And that's how it ended. Did I leave anything out? Melody ended up leaving the table and saying, she let Tisha know that she ain't gonna ever stop her from saying what she needed to say. She left out the room, and that was it. Martell, I don't think ever spoke to Melody in this scene. I don't know if it was something they edited out, but he never
Mhm.
spoke to her. He just stared at her. And I don't think that Kimmy and Maurice did a good job at facilitating. I thought that Melody commanded this room and taught and treated it like a classroom and literally checked everybody, in a way.
Yep.
Okay.
I echo your sentiment
And
totally.
that is why you have Melody as your Avi today, because Melody is a room. Melody was the star of this particular episode because I
She
said
was.
that we were going to make my sister's Avi whoever like stole the show. Melody was the one who stole the show in this scene. Okay. So let's talk about the next one. The last two scenes are pretty short. I think it was Kimmy and Nell, right?
Kimmy and Nell are the next scene. Yep.
Okay. Kimmy and Nell. Now I told y'all already that Kimmy plays this nice, nasty person. Everybody thinks Kimmy's the fair one. Everybody thinks that Kimmy is so nice, but Kimmy has a way of doing nice, nasty stuff to people. And because she speaks with a soft voice and she might use a big word or two, everybody thinks that she's just, oh, she would never. Oh, baby, she does and she do. Okay. She does, she has, she do. Okay. Every single time. And that is what she did with Nail. She told Nail, I didn't invite you to the town hall meeting because I didn't think you needed to be there. I saw you and Tisha kind of going at each other. And in my mind, I thought you would just bring more, bad energy to this situation. So I decided not to invite you. And it was my meeting. Okay. This is what she's saying to her in so many more. It was my meeting. So I get the last word. I get to say who does this. Now, what Nell doesn't know is that Tiffany had a seat on the table. Tiffany also had some things to say to Tisha that got under Tisha's skin. Um, Everything that she was saying about Nell could apply to Tiffany as well, right? Correct. I think you got yourself mic'd, but everything that applied to
Yes,
Nell,
correct.
okay, everything that Kimmy was saying about Nell definitely applied to Tiffany, and Tiffany was at the table. So at this point, this is Kimmy pulling rank and saying, I don't want you at the table because I don't like you there, or I don't think you've earned a place at
Mhm.
the table. This is what she's saying. And then Nell came back to her and said, listen, it was your meeting. And at the end of the day, you can do what you want to do. However, let's agree to disagree. I've been in business for over 30 plus years in the very community you guys want to do all this revitalization and business stuff in. So
Mhm.
I definitely earned a spot at your table, and you are no better than Tisha with how you handled me and my husband. So now I know who you are. Okay?
Mhm.
Smile pretty for you, and I'm gonna let you know. Because she said something like, I could have sat at the table and not did any of the things that you're accusing me of because I understand business better than you.
Right.
Scene. I liked how Nell handled the scene, and I like this power play between the two of them because
I liked how she handled it too, but again, it was another teacher-student situation where, Nell being the natural, right? I run a daycare. I command students all day.
It was a teacher student because she kept
Yeah.
putting that big smile on her face, the way you would do
Hmm.
a little toddler who you need to reprimand. No, no, no. I was like, baby, look at this. I
Yeah.
loved it. I listen because I have been in rooms where there has been a lot of people with a lot of power doing certain things to each other. I saw what was happening here, and I was like, "Oh, Kimmy invited her to her office. I need you to sit in front of my desk while I tell you that I decided not to bring you into my meeting." Now, if you don't know how to play that back, you will sit there, and when you leave that room, you'll be like, "That bitch made me drive over here so that she can reject me twice?" Like you would feel away. But
Hmm.
Nell let her know, "I'm gonna let you know." Because I think at one point she said, "I've been in business for 30 years. I've been in this community longer than any of you." And she said, "And what does that mean?" I'll tell you what it means. It means I know more than you. I know
Right. I'm
community.
the veteran here,
I'm the veteran.
right? I
Okay.
have something to bring to the table. Why are you not utilizing me? I could have told you exactly where you were going to fail before you failed.
Facts. And I also know who you are. And that is what I loved about this scene. I thought it
Right.
was great. And I also thought it showed Kimmy's insecurity because everybody likes to act like she's the secure person who's, well, Kimmy likes to say herself, "I like to call a thing a thing." Well, bitch, call a thing with you. We know what that was. I know what it was anyway. But anyway, moving
Hmm.
on. Okay. That was that scene. Last scene. Whew, Marty, Chris, and Fred, child. So we get this scene with Marty, Chris, and Fred. Fred has been on the show for a couple of times. I think he was first introduced on the show when Martell was trying to pass the builder's license test or something like that. And he had some properties. He was like, "I need you to, put your name on something for me because I don't have a builder's license." So now Martell is saying that him and Fred are actually in business together, that they have something called Ackland and Holt Custom Homes or something like that. So he's making
Hmm.
it out like that's his business partner. Now I tried to Google it, I didn't find it. Uh, so I don't know. But they have this little conversation where they're like, "Oh, we're building this home now." So he's letting people know that he's doing things, okay? And then Chris shows up, and it's funny because you want people to know that you're out here doing things, but Chris reminds everybody that you still haven't moved out of that man's house, that he's paid for, that the bank has closed on. You know better. You are in the housing business. So you know how horrible it is to be squatting in someone else's house, right? I don't care if you have children. You need to find a place to go. And you are messing up my name as a real estate agent, as a broker, doing what you're doing. And it's crazy because Fred decides to pipe in and say, "You ain't gonna put my man on the street, are you?" Like, da 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 da. And Chris gives him a look like, who? I almost thought he was gonna stick his hand out and introduce himself and say, "Hello, hello, I'm Chris, and
Right.
sir, do you mind standing over there while I finish the conversation?" You don't pipe in and make this man right. Y'all both build homes. You know what this is. There's no way
Right.
you know what this is. This man is squatting in someone else's paid for home. How dare you?
Right.
How
I
dare you?
wanted to say, Fred, you know what? That sounds like you want to give Martell a key to your house.
Facts. Facts. And it didn't stop there. Okay. After he says all that, Martell's like, "Well, I can leave by next weekend." He went, "That's not soon enough. It has to be this weekend. This is the deadline I gave my client. If you don't leave, Martell, you have no idea. You're going to have the sheriff show up at that shit and pull your stuff out of there. Get out, pack up, leave." Okay. But Martell's trying to use, some sob story so that he can't get it done. In confessional, Chris says, "I hate that Martell's doing this to me. I don't appreciate it at all." Um, he's pissed. Okay. And it sounds like this is the last time I'll be doing you any favors. You may be in a bad space, but you don't take advantage of hands that try to help. Okay. And that's why I said that Martell may be in the depression phase of things because you know better, Martell. You know better. You know better. But he goes on, Chris tries to, extend more of a helping hand where he's letting him know, listen, I had a meeting with Marsau, and Marsau has some pretty shitty things to say about you as a business person, as, as a this, as a that. And Martell says, listen, everything that Marsau has in life,
Mhm.
his family have in life right now is because of me and my ex.
Mhm.
So I can't believe he's saying that. And I'm going to have to talk to Marceau and find
Yeah.
out, what this BS is, because at the end of the day, and I quote, he said, God doesn't play and I don't play either. Now that's where the scene took a weird turn because I was like, why would you say God doesn't play and I don't either? Child, bye. All you do is play, sir. Um, if you said anything, you should have said, God doesn't play, and I know that better than anybody from the situation I'm in. Okay. And right now, it's time for me to let off some steam, and I'm going to do that over there with Marceau. So, anyway, that's how the scene ends. Martell also had something to say, some smart aleck comment about Chris's pants. He said they were too tight, and that Chris was out here advertising prints as in the front of his pant print. And Chris said, well, if I am, I got it from you. Now I thought that was a little too much. You shouldn't be looking at Chris's print, sir. Leave that man alone, him and his tight pants, okay? But anywho, that's how the scene ends for them.
Uh-huh.
Do you recall anything else in this scene that would have been worth talking about?
No,
Okay. And that's pretty much it, y'all. Again, I give it an 8.5, and that is because I think for the most part, we
you
got
gave
it.
it an 8 1/4.
Oh, 8.25. 8.25 because it kind of took us back to season one with the roles everyone played. Marcel being at the business meeting, excuse me, at the business meeting, the smart aleck, resident a-hole, Martell being the guy who knows better, but gets led astray. Um,
Mm.
and you know, Maurice being the middleman, like why would you do that? But the instigator really, because we soon find out who they all are. But anywho, that is it. Let me take this down, please, and thank you as always, child. I appreciate you coming in and helping me stay on track with this review. Um,
Absolutely.
I love it. We are going to talk next week about, I think it's called Sex, Lies, and Videotape. And it looks like this is where Kiki is going to talk about her brother-in-law and some rumors that's out there in the streets about him and one of Tisha's employees. Okay.
Ooh.
Outside of that, yeah, it's been a good time. Thank you so much. I always appreciate you coming up. And I can't wait to do it again next week. Okay.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Talk to you later.
Toodles.
Bye.
Bye bye, child. And for everybody else, thank y'all for sticking around with us. Talk to us in the comments. Let us know what y'all thought about what we had to say. Keep it cute, okay? Some of y'all have been pretty crazy in them comments, and I've had to remove you from the platform. So make sure that you are, just talking about the show, not about other people and things like that. It doesn't help anyone. Like the video, subscribe to my channel, hit your notification bell, and I will check you on the next one.